Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 38 of Sir Kevin Says. Today we have Chris Johnson in the house, educator, drummer, producer, author, bishop, entrepreneur. The list goes on and on. Welcome, bro.
Thank you, bro.
How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Yeah?
Doing well. Things are good.
Things are good?
Things are good, yeah. Can't complain.
How have things been treating you, man? I know it's been crazy past year for musicians in general. How have things been going for you?
It's just been a good, revealing year.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, with the one thing that all of us pretty much lean on, right? As musicians, you know, it's the music industry.
Right.
You know, and that's how we thrive. That's how we work. That's how we create our income. You know, it set things in perspective. The things that really, really, really mattered outside of music came to the forefront. And it was more about, you know, dealing with those, I don't want to say issues or problems, but dealing with those things and situations that we kind of get escape. You know, we escape from,
Right.
you know, on tour, at rehearsal or at work or whatever. It was like, there's no tour, there's no rehearsals, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
You got to deal with these, you know, head on, you know, take it on family.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
number one, you know, even the relationships between, you know, wives, you know, my wife and, you know, people's relationships were tested.
Yeah.
You know, during this time. So it was all of those things. It's like, all right, I got to reset. You know, God is like, all right, let's reset everything. Let's put things that matter in the forefront and, you know, go from there. But I would say it's been a blessing because I am closer to my family now.
That's
I've drawn
amazing.
closer to my wife.
Yeah.
And, you know, and putting all of these things in the forefront. I always said that though, like things that matter, we got to concentrate on those things.
Yeah.
Because if not, you know, we can get lost in the sauce.
Right.
You know, it's our industry it's like Disneyland.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fantasy world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like not
Real,
you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the rug got pulled up from under us. Like, I mean, 2 days from the start of rehearsal, that's when the whole shutdown happened. And then we got an email saying we're going to push back rehearsals for a week.
Ooh.
Right? So it was like, okay, there's still a little hope, right? Then the next week, okay, we're going to push it back to mid-April. And then it was like, yeah, until further notice, everything is shut down because of COVID, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, I got in the studio, started, you know, teaching myself how to engineer. I went to YouTube University. Free of charge.
Yeah. Unless you got the premium account.
I got a scholarship. Yeah. Taught myself how to do multiple things during this time, which is super cool. Now I'm more self-sufficient when it comes to, you know, production and all of that stuff. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a multiple outlets that we've got to see and do, you know, in this time. So it treated me very well. I didn't know how to take it at first.
Yeah.
You know, but looking at it now, it's just like it's a blessing for sure.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Well, talk to us a little bit about your upbringing, man. Let's start from like the very beginning. Were you born out of the womb with some sticks? Like, how did that go, man?
Honestly, my entire family are musicians.
Yeah.
Like my dad, he's passed. My mom, my I make 4, but 3 older brothers.
Okay.
All musicians.
Yeah.
Cousins, musicians. My Uncle George, played guitar in the church, musician. His wife sang, musician. All their kids, George, Junior, Daniel, and Roshan, they're all musicians. Everybody on my dad's side, musicians, singers. Like, so I was already
born into it.
It was inevitable, right? So born and raised in LA.
Linwood, right?
Linwood.
Yeah.
Linwood.
I grew up in Southgate, man. So
Word, right up north.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, bro. Right out the church, home as a baby.
Yeah.
My first outing was at church, hospital, home, then church, right? Growing up and, I didn't start really, really playing until maybe like 6 or 7. And that was only when, my brother decided not to play anymore. When he moved from drums to keyboards.
Okay.
And then, just kind of try and fit myself on a stool.
Yep.
And, just playing around as much as I could. And it was just church. My Uncle George on guitar and me. And that was it.
Wow, man.
So my mom and dad were really strict about music in the house. So we didn't really have anything other than gospel music in the house.
Yeah.
Just learning, listening. We would watch award shows. They would let us watch award shows.
Okay.
Like AMAs and Grammys and
Dove Awards.
Yeah, man. The Beat It. Was it Beat It? Or the Michael Jackson when he was on stage by himself. I think it was the AMAs. I think it was Beat It. It was probably Beat It, but
okay.
I remember seeing that.
Did he do the moonwalk?
Yeah, he did the moonwalk across the whole stage. It was just him on stage, bro. Like, that'll never happen in the history of performances ever.
Oh, my God.
Him just on stage, the track is playing, and I don't know if he was miming or not, but dancing the whole time. Just by himself. And everybody was mesmerized, like, wow, this dude is crazy. Like, so that caught my interest. Seeing my own cousins on TV caught my interest. I wanted to, I was like, that is attainable. Being able to play on big stages. Like, because I see my cousins doing it.
Right.
He was playing with Boyz II Men. Dave Formy's playing guitar with Boyz II Men. So I was like, wow, he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, if I take this seriously, maybe I can do that too. You know? And once I kind of, moved out the house and gained a little independence, then I started listening to other stuff like, all the older stuff, all the 70s music, all the Motown stuff. And I was like, wow, all of this is super cool, but the drummer isn't really doing a whole lot. He's just kind of like chilling.
Pocket, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Went to high school. I wanted to, at that point, I wanted to be an athlete.
Like football or like
football, basketball, whatever, track, everything. And I didn't play as much, so it was like, it's like, I don't know, I can play in church or I'll play in band at school. It's like a little extra credit or whatever. But I wasn't really, really diving into it like that, It wasn't until, this is a cool story, right? So my senior year in high school, first year football team makes it to the playoffs in like 15 years or whatever. So we make it to the playoffs. Everybody's super hyped. You know what I mean? We're up going into the fourth quarter. Somehow the opposite team comes back. They win at the buzzer. No time on the clock. They throw a Hail Mary in the end zone and we lose, right? So I was like, all the players that I remember, super emotional. It's like crying, slamming helmets and like kicking trash cans, like super mad. So I'm just like literally standing on the sideline like, well, I guess I can just go play drums then or something. Like, it didn't really grab me. Like, I wasn't really upset. I wasn't upset. I wasn't mad. It was just like, all right, well, on to the next thing. Because I know I wasn't getting no college notoriety like that. There wasn't no scouts coming to the school. I was at Bellflower High School. Yeah. Wasn't no scouts coming to the school like that. So, I just went and played a little bit more in church. And this whole time I wasn't able to play at home. So it was like, it was hard to kind of practice and do those things other than like church or school. So then my cousin George called me up. He was like, yo, man, I need you to do this gig for me. I got too much on my plate. He hit me up. And it was a church gig anyway. It was like Donnie McClurkin. So that's how it like really, really started. And it was like on the job training. It was like no super prep. I didn't have like 3 months of rehearsal like, these guys have now. It's like Nah, bro. It's like
just threw you in the fire, man.
Threw me in the fire.
Yeah.
And that's how I developed, my playing style and everything. It was just like right on the job, bro.
Man.
And then from there it was reference, people recommended me for stuff and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years, bro.
Man, the list of artists, I had to write it down because it's so many. But you've played for Rihanna, Stevie Wonder, Camila Cabello, Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez, Patti LaBelle, Seal, Chrisette Michele,
yeah.
Heather Headley,
yeah.
Layla Hathaway, Anastacia, Darius Rucker. Those are just some in the pop and R&B field, right? Then we move on to the gospel side: Kurt Carr, Donnie McClurkin, Dorinda Clark-Cole, Beverly Crawford, Norman Hutchins.
Yeah.
Quite a list, man. Quite a list.
Wow.
That's crazy. Let me ask you this. How has your style when it comes to playing drums changed from gospel approach to pop?
That is a very good question. And it's a loaded one too. It's not a lot of difference.
Okay.
It's not much difference. I approach every gig, whether it's pop, gospel, whatever, I approach it the same way. And I explained to you, like, growing up, like my mom, she's a choir director. So she wouldn't even let me get away with playing outside of what was needed to be played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they say. You're gospel, you're coming out the gospel arena, you're a gospel musician, so you got to play less. That's the first thing they say. It's like, just play 50 or 60% less of what you actually know, because they see us in church and it's like, we going all over the place. Even on some charts, man. I remember doing this gig, and the chart said gospel feel, right? And then in parentheses, it's like more busy. It's basically what it said. I was like, man, that's jacked up. Because that's not That's not how I came up.
Yeah,
it was less is more from the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? From the jump, my mom would not let me get away with anything. And she loved Hawkins family, and Andre Crouch and all of those guys.
Yes.
And their music didn't sound gospel. It was more. It sounded like some Earth, Wind, like Andre Crouch stuff back in the day sounded like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So to cross the line over into the other genres, it wasn't that much of a difference.
Okay.
Other than, just kind of learning sonics. In church, the snares like super high pitched, In pop and R&B world, it's more, you dial it down a little bit more, give it the more mid-tone snare, the toms, even the tom sizes. Because when I first started playing, it was like 10, 12, 14, 16. That was it. 10, 12, 14, 16. You go into the rock genre, and it's like, okay, 12, 13, 18, 24-inch kicker. Stuff like that, just kind of switching up the tones makes a huge difference as far as that. But my initial crossover into like the professional realm, I don't want to sound like I already knew what was happening, but I kind of had an idea, and I knew I didn't have to play more to do those gigs. I just approached it as if I was playing any other gig, whether that was church or whatever.
Yeah. I'd say maybe 90% of musicians that are in the pop field have had some type of upbringing from church. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Most of the drummers, right?
Absolutely.
That are some of the legends here today all grew up in church.
Absolutely. And we're all different.
Yeah.
Because some churches was like free for all.
Yeah.
And again, like, I only grew up playing with a guitar player. That was it. So, most guys had bass, 2 keys, organ, like at the City of Refuge, right? I spent, 20 years there.
Yeah, man, Gardena.
So we had 2 keys, organ, bass, guitar. At one point we had a horn section. I didn't grow up playing in a church like that. It wasn't until later where it was established in that realm. And again, still, like, I only wanted to play what was needed because there's so many other players playing, plus the music and what it called for.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to be that person to just lay in. Like, there was times, we can be transparent, bro. So there was times where I didn't feel adequate enough to play certain gigs because what I saw the quote unquote like number one drummers or number one players doing, they weren't doing what I was doing. Or I wasn't doing what they were doing. Like they were playing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, getting all the notoriety and they get the YouTube videos and, you know, everybody's talking about them. I didn't really get that. You know what I'm saying? So at a point I felt like I need to do that in order to get that. Maybe it'll bring me more, you know, recognition and people will hire me more and it's not whatever. But the whole time I was getting calls. Like, you know, the whole time I was working and it was working out. So I had to kind of dial myself back. Like,
That's good, man.
Okay, let's just stick to what you know what to do and how to do it. And that works. Yeah. Like just stick to your guns and be confident and know that what you're doing is good. Yeah. You know, and so it was an evolution, but the mindset was still pretty much the same. It was like just approach it how you approach everything else. Yeah.
I actually used to go, I've probably been to City of Refuge maybe 3 or 4 times. Whenever Bishop T.D. Jakes would come and preach at the church, I would go.
Oh, that was a big deal.
I would always go because he's one of my favorite preachers. So I'd go with my brother. I'd just try to take anybody I could. But bro, the first time I walked into the church and I heard you guys play, I was like, my gosh, dude, this is a great gospel band. You know, I think Jason McGee was leading that with the choir and stuff like that. And I remember I was younger. I was maybe like 13, 14 years old. And I'd bring this little small Canon camera and I'd go try to get by the drums to see where you were, like try to get a little bit of video. I don't even know if it was permitted or not. Probably not. But many years ago, man, many years ago. And then I came across some videos on YouTube where you did some clinics and stuff like that. I think you were trying to teach a drum fill or something like that. But you're like, honestly, I don't know what I'm playing. But it sounds good to me. So I'm going to keep doing it.
I can be honest, man. I play from feel. Like, it's just the feeling. Yes. You know, and it's hard to duplicate things that I play because I'm not the technical player like that. Right. And that's basically what the book is. Yeah. It's like the street smarts. Right. Versus the book smart of drumming. That's or good. As musicianship. So yeah, bro, like we have been playing for a very long time. You know, we rehearse every Tuesday. Yeah. You know, so that helped with the, you know, the chemistry of the band and everything. But yeah, those were some highlights of the better, you know, broader days at the city when we were, you know, we're just like breathing. They would just call out a song and we would already know the arrangement from, you know what I mean?
Bro, you had your speaker on the side with the MPC play, right? Yeah. And fully blasted, bro.
Because, there was no in-ears. It was like, it was just super loud. Yeah. And we was just going for it, you know?
There's a YouTube video online. You guys do like a mint condition intro. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
What did it look like? Was the drums blonde?
No, like the drums they're orange. You have a horn section on the right side. That was
Nissan. That was Nissan.
No, Nissan. You were playing.
No, I mean that was Nissan videoing.
Oh, that
Stuart.
was
that was Jesus, I won't forget.
Yes, there we go, bro.
We looked at that video the other day.
Oh my gosh, Pocket. That band sounded incredible.
We love Man, I miss those days, bro. I really do. Yeah. I miss those days.
I just wanted to bring up the memory because I felt it was like, man, I remember seeing that years ago now. It's been up there for a while.
Yeah.
But what instance would you say, man, catapulted your career? Like what was the instance or maybe playing with a certain artist that was like, man, I'm really doing this?
You know what, bro? I didn't really know what made it was. You know what I mean? Coming out of the church, you know, like going on the road, coming back home, you know how that is, like, you know, the flight's delayed. Yeah. And you coming in, you're trying to make your church service, you know, from the weekend gigs that you just did. Yeah. So you coming in late, it's like, oh yeah, you made it now. You made it now. You know, you kind of sliding in church kind of late and, you know, you're doing what you can. And I always wanted, it really didn't matter, bro, where I was. So I need to be home on Sunday. I need to be home on Sunday. I need to be home on Sunday. So I was always that humble cat, man, and was grateful for everything that has happened and transpired. But I was mostly the number 2 guy. So if George couldn't do the gig, I would do the gig. Okay. If Teddy couldn't do the gig, I would do the gig. If Gordon couldn't do it, I would do it. If Nissan couldn't do it, I would do it. You know, it was like that. The first gig that I had that was mine was Anastacia.
Okay.
That was the first arena tour that I did. It was overseas only. We never toured here in the States. Rihanna was my joint. I was the first drummer that she's ever had.
Wow, man.
Everything else was more like, yo, can you do this gig? And then it would be like, so the drummer is unavailable from here on out. Do you think would you want to take over?
Yeah.
You know, I would talk to the previous drummer. We have a conversation, see how cool, things are, and then we would move on from there. You know, but yeah, made it. I don't know. I think of that term differently now because it's what has made it, right? Okay, so we're still working for somebody else. You know, somebody else is still signing our checks. We have to answer to somebody else. We don't answer to our own self. We don't own it. We don't own stock in it. Like, our name is not on the marquee. If it says Rihanna, it just says Rihanna. It doesn't say Rihanna featuring her band, Chris Johnson. Eric, it doesn't say any of that. You know, so I was sitting, speaking of Rihanna, I was just sitting on the drums in a 81,000 capacity stadium playing a show. And I don't know why my mind went there, but I was like, I wonder how much she's getting paid for this one show. Because we were in the middle of a tour run, so we were doing arenas as well as stadiums. So, but we would get the same rate per week. So I was like, so I'm thinking like, what amount, what is the, like, let me just throw out a number. Like, it's 81,000 people, and let's just say €75 average for the ticket. So you multiply 81,000 by €75, and it's like, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking like, I am not getting less than 1%.
Wow.
Of the payout of this gig, right? So what has made it? Man. Like, I'm still in the background. I'm still doing this for somebody else. I'm not doing this for myself. Yeah. You know, and so now thinking about it, it's like, man, I if I would have bet on myself back then, you know, I would say that I made it by now because I would have my own everything. Mm-hmm. You know, who knows? Maybe started a band or something like that. I don't know about getting signed, but just like doing things on my own. Like, if I sell some merch, it's mine. If I go do a tour, it's mine. Like, you know, think about it like that. So I don't know about made it. Sure. But definitely I've had some amazing moments, bro, like with these artists, like the Diamond Jubilee with Stevie Wonder. Yeah. Like, that was crazy to see. 250,000 people like just lined up on the street in London. The Queen is sitting over there in VIP and the royal family. Wow. You know, we're playing right in front of Buckingham Palace. Paul McCartney, Tom Jones, Grace Jones was there. I mean, the cast was ridiculous. Yeah. Beautiful moment, bro. Beautiful moment. Live television, streaming, live everywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was something. That was truly something right there, bro.
Are there any moments you get into your nerves or you kind of psych yourself out?
I just remember a few times, like, and I'll just say this because I don't want to come off like a, you know, like a a-hole or whatever, but I try and prepare myself as much as I can so I can enjoy those moments. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want nervousness or being anxious to take over. Right. I'm more nervous like during the rehearsal process when the artist first comes in. Yeah. And like, all right, let me hear what y'all got. Like what y'all been doing, working on. You know, that's more nervous to me. Like once we get set in the arrangement, it's like, all right, now we good. Now it's just muscle memory. Yeah. The very first show of a tour, it's like there's a little anxious feeling, but as soon as the crowd starts screaming, it's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
like, let's go.
Yeah,
Right. So there's a few times that, on the road where, I miss my kids or something like that. And I just be spaced out, just like I'm not even here, but I'm playing. And Eric Smith played bass with us with Ree. He was saying to talk about, he was like, yo, Chris, you good? I'll be like, yeah, what's up? He was like, you kind of missed like that whole second verse. Like, I was like, I did? He was like, yeah, it's cool. It was like, it wasn't like super noticeable, but he knew.
Yeah.
So he was like, you all right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I had to kind of dial it back in, but it's just muscle memory at that point.
Yeah.
Messing with the fans and, the dancers coming up and playing around and even the artists come up and start vibing.
Right.
It's all that stuff, man. Super fun, super chill. And we were prepared. We were rehearsed. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good. Well, how important has faith been a part of your journey?
Being born in church, huge. I've learned more about myself and who I am being on the road and traveling outside of the church. There are things that happen on the road that we don't even have to really go there in specifics, but it's like an absolute no. Like, absolutely not. I'm not, just because I'm in a certain place, I'm not about to be, out here wilding like that. Mm-hmm. And God actually speaking to me in certain instances, like that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
You get that feeling like, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Like Holy Spirit convicting you, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not even conviction, because I wasn't even inside of the act yet. It was just like, yo, we about to meet downstairs. There's a situation popping off over here. We got carte blanche. Like, we can roll if you want to roll. And it's like, okay, I know what's going to happen there. I know who's going to be there. I know how they are. So it's like all these things that follow. It's like, yeah, I think I'm cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm cool. I feel like, the prayers and the concerns of my family helped me as well, like keeping me covered on the road. Again, it's like a Disneyland, bro. You get lost.
Right.
You would get lost in not having to do anything but play drums. I mean, not even touching your bags.
Wow.
Like you pack your bag, you set it outside the door, and you don't see it until you get to the next city. Like, you don't have to carry anything. You don't have to set up your drums. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy world. It's like, where does this happen?
Yeah.
Like, how do you adjust to this? Just keeping myself grounded and staying humble. Definitely faith is huge part of my journey for sure.
That's good.
But also learning, of the world but not in the world, or in the world but not of the world, right? Learning life's principles and things that aren't necessarily in the Bible and things that they don't necessarily tell you in church. You learn and come to know things for yourself, and you're like, that just makes sense to just be a good person. Just to be cool, not like, how things go wrong, like a cymbal stand or fall or something. And, certain people, they don't react the same way. Me, I'll be like, all right, cymbal stand fell, who cares? It happens. Like cussing my tech out or something like that. No.
Antonio?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Antonio, what are you doing, bro? Like, nah.
Yeah.
None of that. Like, because
that's good,
everybody's human.
That's
everybody
good.
makes mistakes. Everybody's prone to mistakes. I'm prone to mistakes. I've messed up plenty of times in shows, bro. And I'm probably sure I will continue, because I'm not a robot. I do things to the best of my ability.
Right.
And how much more can you ask of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I try and keep that mentality when it comes to other people outside on the road, and they see that in me, and they're like, "Man, you really not fazed by a lot of things." Like it's like, that's what it is. So that is my light shining.
That's good, man.
In the places where you wouldn't usually get that opportunity.
Right.
You know, I would have a drink. You know what I mean? We would go to the bars and hang out. And, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not just going to my room and closing myself off, you know, going and praying the rest of the 23 hours of the day. You know, it's you have to, you know, learn that balance and be normal.
Yeah.
Really.
That's good, man.
You know, but that faith has always been there, bro.
Yeah.
Always.
What continues to inspire you?
Just hearing new and fresh stuff. You know, I will say with gospel music, it is very uninspiring in today's time because it's not as original as it used to be. It's more, now I come from the church where it was like, my mom would just start singing a song in the middle of the audience and then everybody joins in.
Yeah.
Right? Then it moved to like the more organized, like the praise and worship. So now we have set songs that we're going to play for whatever, you know, and then after it went there, then the whole CCM epidemic took, I don't want to call it an epidemic, but no disrespect. But, you know, the CCM thing popped off and it was just the most simplest.
Oh, yeah.
The same chord changes, chord structure, everything.
Cadences on drums,
and it's
eighth notes.
Like, it's just like, oh, man, where's the creativity?
Oh, man.
Very uninspiring. But listening to newer music and fresh music and these new artists that are coming up with these concepts, I love to hear great music, man. Like, it doesn't matter if it's gospel or not. It's like just good music is very inspiring. Like seeing artists like how we started back in the day, it's like, oh man, they are grinding it out. They're getting in a 15-passenger van and they're flying, driving to Tucson, Arizona to do one gig. You know what I mean? Like that is very inspiring and it helps put things in perspective. Like if you do this for yourself, you know what I mean? Like do it for yourself now. So 10, 15 years later, you'll have some ownership in something. Like it was very uninspiring at that moment where I realized 81,000 people, 75 euro a ticket. I'm not getting a fraction
of that.
Very uninspiring.
Yeah.
You know, and it puts you in a place of you being comfortable. You're just comfortable.
Yeah.
Just doing that. So
right.
My kids are inspiring to me.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
And a bonus son.
Nice.
And they're into computers and science and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Stream,
you know, so I'm looking at them like, wow, man, these guys are like what was I doing at this age?
Right.
Like, what is going on?
Well, now you could be a 10, 13-year-old gamer, man, and some of them
YouTuber or TikToker or whatever, bro. It's like, it's crazy. Different time,
right.
I understand, but yeah, bro, it's a lot of inspiration with them and, you know, seeing them excel and doing the things that we do.
Yeah.
Like my oldest daughter, Madison, made a track on her phone and sent it to me. And I was like, this is the stuff that you hear rappers rapping on. Like it's like they're just the most normal and simplest beat. And she put some thought behind it. And like the last time we were together before the pandemic, she took my computer and made a track in GarageBand.
Wow.
You know, she's very inspired to do that. And that inspires me. It's like, wow, that's super cool.
Yeah. Has there ever been an instance or maybe multiple instances in which you said no to a gig?
The only time I've ever left a gig was probably because of the rate or conditions in which we talked about previously.
That weren't met?
Okay. And that was the only time that I would, or if I left the gig, it was on my own terms. It wasn't ever like, you know, throw my sticks in the air, I'm out of here, you know, like, forget this. You know, like it wasn't like that. It was business. It was business. It was contractual. So, and that's a thing also that I learned from, you know, traveling in the OGs. Is like it's all business. You know, all of it. Once you get on that plane, it's all business. Like the hanging out is extra. you're not required to hang out. Your job is to, in my case, play drums. That's it.
Yeah.
Show up to play. We don't want you to have to worry about anything, which is why we take your bags. We set your drums up. We fly you free of charge. We put you in a hotel free of charge. We pay you a per diem. So we don't want you to have to worry about anything other than being at the gig, doing your job.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it.
Yeah.
There were instances where things weren't met. I would check in the hotel. You hit the key thing, click, click, right? You walk in. Okay, it's 2 beds in there. It's like, all right, cool. No worries. I've had a room with 2 beds before. Yeah. Not a big deal. Sit on the bed, drop your bag. You're like, let me just chill for a second. Then you hear click, click. And somebody else walks in the room and it's like, yo, you in the right room? Because, like, this is my room. He was like, nah, man, they got to share rooms. And I'm like, but we just talked about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to have open phone conversations with my kids. I don't want to have to walk outside in the hallway or down in the lobby, to have a phone conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. So I handled it the best way I could. I went and talked to the manager. We spoke about the terms. He said, yeah, you're right. That's our bad. If you can just bear with us, for the duration of the run, we would appreciate that, whatever. But it just wasn't, for my comfortability, it wasn't hitting. You know what I'm saying? So I had to make a decision. And I think that's one of the things in touring. It's like, you got to make the best decision for you, right? So I did. And I was like, I can't continue to do this gig knowing that we can talk about certain things and sign on the dotted line about things, and I can't trust that it will be, brought to the table in which you were like, okay, we're going to honor what we actually talked about.
Yeah.
I can't trust that anymore.
Right.
So I am going to decide to move on.
Yeah.
It would be instances like that. I can work with anybody. I don't care who's on the gig. I'm not going to not take a gig because somebody else is on it.
Yeah.
That's just unprofessional, really.
Yeah.
But anything to challenge my faith, nothing. Because I'm not afraid of how people look and view me in certain things. Like, let's just say Lady Gaga, right? So everybody's like, man, Lady Gaga, man, she's a devil worshiper. She's a blah, blah, blah. It's like this. It's like, I don't know her to be a devil worshiper. You know what I'm saying? I only know the music. When I saw her, we had great conversation. The instances where we had a chance to hang out and had conversations, she seemed like a nice person.
Yeah.
I didn't get the devil worship vibe. I never got any of the devil worship vibe. I didn't feel uncomfortable being around her.
Wow.
It's like,
that's good.
So what people may perceive to be, is not, it's not real.
What reality is.
So
right.
I have to, like, again, I could only do and go off of things that I've experienced. But yeah, if you don't feel right in a certain arena, in a certain, these elements that you're around, you have to make that decision. Because if you continue to be in a situation that you don't feel comfortable, you're only doing yourself a disservice, right? There's enough work to go around. Everybody can work if they want to. It's just everybody feels like, let's just say Lady Gaga is here and Norman Hutchins is here. It's like, no, you have to approach everything the same.
Yeah.
Like, make your deals how you make your deals. The rates obviously will be different, but that shouldn't change the way that you do your job.
Yeah,
so,
that's great, man. That's great advice.
Yeah, so you have to make a decision that's best for you.
Yeah.
I've had to do that a few times.
Wow, man. How would you define a great drummer?
It has nothing to do with drums, though. It's more of the intangibles, like showing up on time, being prepared, being a great person, being a guy that can adjust well, not taking things too personally, able to adhere to leadership, putting your ego to the side, doing what needs to be done just to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things. Playing drum, everybody can play drums. You can play every gig that I've ever played. And that's just facts. But the things that you may bring outside of drums may be differently. It's like, oh, this dude he's too closed off, or he's too outgoing. That's going to be annoying to the artist. The artist really, some of these artists are a lot of them are very insecure and unsure about how they're going about things. So when they have people around them that feel the same way, are very timid or, very hesitant to make decisions, that doesn't make them comfortable. So it's just like, do and be yourself. Don't be anybody else. And if the gig is for you, it's for you. Like, period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. You've toured for many years now. Has it gotten easier for you? Or would you say now having a family and kids, you think that makes it more difficult?
It's hard. It's hard to balance that. I'm on my second marriage now.
Okay.
So it was very hard trying to balance the time. And this was pre-FaceTime, the cell phone companies actually allowing you to use their servers over there.
Wow.
Like when I first started touring overseas, I had to go to a convenience store, find a convenience store, whatever country, buy a calling card. I have to buy a calling card, go back to my hotel room, scratch the little thing off, 60 minutes. Okay, you got 60 minutes on this card. You dial the number for the calling card and the hotel phone, and they'll charge you maybe like 10 cents to make a calling card call. And then it's like, only got 60 minutes. How's everybody doing? What's going on?
Wow.
Like, like that.
Yeah.
There was no FaceTime. It was so it was very tough. Very, very challenging. And to balance the whole thing, it can be done though. It can be done. But again, like, you talking about going to Disneyland for 3 months and having to handle business and family matters and stuff like that is very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. But again, all of these experiences help me learn that, later on. It's very easy now. Because I know
what to do. Yeah.
I know how to approach it now. I know how to, it's like, hey, so I'll land at 11. I'll probably be at the hotel about 12:30. If you got a window, let's talk 12:30 till whatever. I was like, hey, we going downstairs. Just get in the hotel. We going downstairs, find food. It's like, nah, I allotted this time for the fam so I could talk to them and catch up. Like, I'll catch up with y'all later.
Priorities.
That kind of, you definitely have to prioritize.
Yeah, that's good, man. Pop, R&B, and gospel drumming.
It's out, bro.
It's out already?
It's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that, man.
So yeah, it's just my view.
Yeah.
And I always say any clinic or masterclass I do, this is only my opinion. This is not the end all be all. I am not drum god of America or of the world. I don't know everything. But this works for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what the book is. So it talks about like how we were talking about earlier, the different genres and how to adjust and approach those, genre and stylistic awareness, tune memorization, like how do I remember tunes?
Yeah.
There's instances where you have 3 months of rehearsal, then there's instances where you have a flight from LA to New York to learn something to play as soon as you land. Like, it's elements in which it's like the street smarts. Like, ain't no book gonna tell you how to work in these environments when you, like I said, you're on the job training. It's like, there's nothing that can teach you that. There's nothing that can teach you, if you're playing a show and your battery pack dies. You're in the middle of a show and it's like, I don't have any sound in my ears. Nobody else is noticing. What do I do? You know what I mean? it's like, what happens then? You know, certain things I would, in that instance, I would take the ears out and maybe try and let somebody know my ears went out. Can you help me keep time? Like, can you stomp or like nod your head? That's happened so many times, bro. My homeboy just like not like super vibing out so I can just stay on
click
on the click. So yeah, just things like that.
Okay.
A few life hacks, you know, like actually something I learned later on is like taking time for yourself. There's usually an hour, okay, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours a show is. And that's maybe every other day, one on, one off. The rest of the 22 and a half hours that you have, like what are you doing with those hours? You know what I mean? Like I used to just sit up in the hotel room and do nothing. Watch movies all day. Like, man, just chill. Like instead of walking outside and exploring or finding a nice park to go meditate and pray and go and get a cup of coffee or go find a nice meal or, you know, those things help with your actual performance, you know, because you don't have these, you know, voices in your head telling you things like, you know, you haven't talked to your mom in a couple of days, like maybe something's wrong. Like, you know, it's like you don't really worry about certain things like that because you're taking care of yourself. Yeah. You know, the self-care and the mental and awareness and getting things, you know, just kind of lining them up, prioritizing them and all of that. I talk about that in the book. Nice, man. It comes with the video as well. So you purchase the book, you go to the website and put in a code, and you have like 3 hours of video, songs, interviews. Amazing. Wow. Ricky Minor, Nate Watts. That's right. Brian Fraser Moore, Aaron Spears is on there, Kevin Teasley, many others, bro. Like we played songs, like made up songs on the spot and just played them down. All the interviews, I did some, which was weird. I would take songs of artists that I played with and I would just play drums to like an actual song. So you don't hear the track, you don't hear like
for copyright reasons. Yeah.
Right. For licensing reasons, of course. But you know, how I approached those and I would tell a little backstory on the song and how I approached it and sound design and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very, very interesting book. It's different from any other book that Hal Leonard has published, but the response has been great. Yeah. What was the motivation behind that? Was it mostly because people were approaching you and asking about your approach to drumming? Was that really what motivated you to do it? Yeah, really. My manager, Nick Preston, he was like, you know what? I think we should do a book. And I was like, a book? Nobody's going to want to listen to what I have to say. Like, you know, I'm not even one of those marquee drummers or premier drummers, you know, like that are publishing books like that. Yeah. He was like, bro, the way that the way you do your clinics and the way you do consultations and stuff like that, that's what people want to hear. Mm-hmm. And again, I wasn't even on I was like, I don't believe that you think that's possible. Like, because of how I approach things. Like, I don't know how to read like that. I don't know, you know, because that's what those guys do. Yeah, yeah. And somehow he convinced me to do it. I was like, all right, cool. I'll just jot some stuff down and let's see. So once I start, you know, actually writing stuff and it just start flowing out. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, why not help somebody? That's why not try and help and touch somebody and to be a better person first and then a player. Like I am a drummer, but it's more for, you know, the musician. It's not just for drums. Yeah. What does value mean to you? That came later. Like early on, it was just like, yes. No questions asked, not seeing the temperature, like seeing how things are gonna flow. It's just like, I'll do it. You know, it wasn't until later on, it was like, okay, you want me to do 5 rehearsals and a gig for this amount. You know what I mean? Right. Like a usual day rate, you know, I'm not even really getting a full day rate from you, but a full 6 weeks. It's not going to profit me, and I think about it this way. It's not going to profit me to be away from my family for 5 days for a day rate. So I would rather recommend somebody that maybe could do it for that rate.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste my time either. Because there are things that we could be doing more of or better if we were just like, you know what, I can't do, I'm going to be honest and tell you, I can't do this for this. Then it starts the dialogue. Okay, well, what can you do it for? It's like, well, if that's all you have in your budget, send me the music. I'll do one rehearsal in the gig. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's always a way.
Yeah.
There's always a way to do it. But yeah, value, it's the time more than anything. It's not the actual gig. It's more or less the time. Like, how much time am I going to have to spend on this? And the time that I spend on that is less time that I'm spending on my stuff. Which is why you see a lot of people, you know, they're artists, but they're struggling artists because they keep taking gigs and they keep taking things that will take time away from their artistry. And then it's like, oh yeah, the record's coming. I just haven't had time. I haven't had time. You know, I don't want that to be my story. I want to be able to say, you know, I got caught because I did get called for a few nice things, but the timing just didn't work out. I would have double booked myself. I would have had to cancel on somebody else in order to take that opportunity. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, that's just not integral. It's not, you know, because I heard somebody say one time, yeah, you got to watch out for Chris because he'll just cancel on you and hop off your gig. And I'll be like, that's not necessarily true. You know, I'm being upfront with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I told this story just yesterday when I flew to London with Stevie. He had a gig on, let's just say, the 6th. And Rihanna started rehearsals in London on the 12th. So I was like, it would make no sense to fly all the way back home to LA to get right back on a plane to come back to London. So let me just call both the managers. Like, here's the deal. I got a gig after this one. Can I just get a buyout from the return flight and I'll get a hotel room to stay and I'll have Rihanna and them fly me back home after we're done with that gig? Well, oh yeah, cool, no problem.
Man.
Talk to the other one. Oh yeah, cool, no problem. So you remain integral and upfront about it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not flip-flopping gigs like just on the cuff and not letting people, you know things. Like everybody knows what's happening.
Exactly.
You know, so
yeah,
I just try and keep it that way. And if it doesn't work out, then I have to choose.
Right.
And usually it's whatever's gonna be the best for my family.
Yeah.
That's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah. When it comes to endorsements and the relationships that you have to keep with these executives or the companies themselves, how do you go about that? What's your approach?
If I can be honest, man, it's a huge game. It's a huge game. And the endorsees like us, we don't even really get to see the actual support that you would want to see. And that's on any level. And they'll send you free stuff, no problem. Because that's a small percentage of what you know they take in for the year. It's like, oh, we can send them a kid a year. That's no problem. You know, but to actually get the support and the relationships that you have to keep and you rubbing elbows in them and all of this stuff for them to say that you play their product, it's more or less for them. Like that we are the ones that are showing their product off to the world. Right. That's never an even exchange. I am not cool. I don't really care who sees this. But I am not cool with how the endorsement thing is going now. It's just too one-sided and it's not enough support. But if I was to say anything to anyone, what pushed me to make the decisions I made as far as my sound was just that, like, how I sound means more to me than, oh, you know, messing with me? All right, cool. I'm gonna go with this company. You know, my sound means more than that. So when it comes to, it's like, oh, we can't send you a kit, you know, budgets and this, not whatever. It's like, okay, if I'm going out on a tour, the tour has a budget. So we'll let the tour buy the kit or supply the kit or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always a way, bro. There's always a way.
Yeah.
You'll hear me say that 100 times. Yeah, but the personal relationships, it's cool. You know, how's your family? How's things going? Like, a couple of the representatives knows my kids' names. Like,
nice.
Vader, when my oldest daughter was born, they sent me these kid sticks with her name and birth date on there.
That's cool.
And her pound, like 6 pounds, 12 ounces. Like, it was super cool. And I thought it was like, wow, they super care. Like, they're paying attention and they understand, they get it. You know, other companies, it's just like, hey, Chris, what's your social media handle? It's like, why don't you know my social media handle? Like, you know, wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
You're in artist relations, like, relate to the artist. That's what it's supposed to be. You know, so it's a big turnoff for me right now. I don't want to discourage anybody, you know, to get what they want. But I would say if that's what you like, then you would be down purchasing it. You know, you wouldn't have a problem with purchasing a certain thing that will make your sound, you know, sound consistent. Like, it'll be a consistent sound. Like, I don't want to keep switching companies just because I don't like what they're doing. It's like, no, I don't want to compromise my sound.
Wow.
So I would say that's more look and understand and search for your sound and then move from there.
Yeah.
Because the drums and things that I play may not even work for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's going back to the individual thing. Like, you got to know what you like and who you are as a person to be able to approach these type of things.
Yeah.
You know,
what would you say to the aspiring musician that's trying to get into the music industry now? What advice would you give them?
I would say be your own boss. I would say, and this is just my opinion, okay?
So when you start your book,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let me just my opinion. I would say, not aspire to be in the background. Like, know your value early.
Yeah.
I would say start a band, start producing, you know, start production, start writing. That's just in music, you know, start doing your thing.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid or intimidated by what else, like, you hear, the things that you hear and see, especially on socials. It's like social media has become the standard for everything. And that's in all facets. Like, you look at, you know, these stars buying their wives cars for their birthdays, like the Lamborghini truck for her birthday. It's like, that's not what you have to do.
Yeah.
In order to be successful. Like, you can be successful and gratified and feeling fulfilled by doing you and doing your part and being an individual and finding your way. You know, we're all gonna be somebody's employee, you know, at some point. But to aspire to be your own boss and do your own thing, that's number one.
Yeah.
Period. I would say do it for yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, Chris, where can people find you on social media? We're talking so much about it.
All right.
Where can they find you on social media?
On Instagram, I am Johnson Out, JOHNSONOUT. The same for Twitter. I am also on Facebook. I have a fan page on Facebook, Johnson Out fan page.
Nice.
Everything else, I don't have. I have a YouTube channel, but
not too much going on there.
I'm terrible at social stuff, bro. I'm really terrible at it. You know, it's very entertaining, but as far as, like, you know, consistently posting and doing all of these things, it's like,
yeah, a lot of work for you.
Yeah, and it's like, what am I doing it for? I'm doing it for them.
Yeah.
to gain what? Notoriety, to gain exposure, to gain this, which is cool and is needed, but that's not my go-to. That's not what I jump to first.
Yeah.
So all of my socials, and I would say, if anything that I say or was said in this podcast inspires you or want to hit me up, talk more about it, you're more than welcome to. Just hit me up.
That's
I don't
amazing.
even really care.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we are with Chris Johnson, author of Pop, R&B, and Gospel Drumming. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for doing this, man. Really appreciate you coming out and making this happen. Episode 38 with Chris Johnson. Thank you so much, brother.
My pleasure,
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
See you guys next week.